That's true. It was not messy for Russell Westbrook. He's home. You see that? He's home officially. It's been a bit of a circuitous route for the Long Beach native, right? Went to UCLA, drafted by Oklahoma City, teamed up with KD for 8 of his 11 seasons, helped the Thunder to the 2012 NBA Finals, and left town as the franchise's all-time leading scorer. Then Westbrook gets traded to Houston, where he's reunited with his former Thunder teammate, James Harden. He would average over 27 a game there, but the Rockets were eliminated by the Lakers in the second round of the playoffs. So what happens? Well, Westbrook on the move again. Traded to Washington prior to last season, the 9-time All-NBA selection, averaged a triple-double, helped the Wiz to their first playoff berth in 3 seasons, and now, look where he is. Westbrook may have his best shot yet at taking a title as he joins LeBron, AD, Carmelo, and the Lakers. You're talking about name recognition. Wow. Put him on the marquee. He becomes the 3rd former MVP to start 4 straight seasons with a different team, the first to be traded in 3 straight seasons. Here's what he had to say today.
First, man, it's surreal. I think it still hasn't kind of hit me yet that being from LA, growing up not too far from here, being able to watch the parades, try to go to them, miss school to try to go to them, being a Laker fan and being from LA, but now everything coming full circle for me is it's a blessing. You know, it's a lot of things I can't put into actual words just because, you know, some of these dreams don't come true for people like myself. And I'm truly blessed and thankful for this opportunity, and, you know, I can't wait to get started. I've been blessed to be able to go into my 14th season, and each year I try to find ways, like Rob mentioned, to be able to uplift and make my teammates better around me. And AD and Bron are friends of mine first. And me being their teammate, my job is to come in and uplift them, and they'll do the same with me, vice versa. And as the season prolongs, we will figure it out. There will be ups, there will be downs, and that's normal. That's okay. But we will figure out how to play the best way that we want to play to be able to win a championship.
The Lakers have been in full retool mode in pursuit of said championship. They, of course, were bounced in the first round of the playoffs. They now have 5 players that have 8 or more All-Star selections. According to Elias, no team in NBA history has had 5 8-time All-Stars appear for them in a single season. The only person busier maybe than Rob.
He's got to work on his perimeter shot. But you know what? Somebody said something to me the other day that I got to give props where it's due. We know the man's a walking triple-double. We know he's box office. We know he's a superstar in this league. He's also a high-character guy. And we got to give him credit where credit is due. Don't get in any trouble. Don't get in any nonsense. Doesn't act up. The brother goes out there and goes all out 100% of the time, all the time. I could be critical of him as I have been in the past, but I'm talking about his jump shot, okay? Or I'm talking about him settling for being in a situation like being in Washington. But that wasn't his fault. Upon further research, you just wanted the hell out of Houston. You can't help where they traded you. You go to D.C. for a year. Then you wanted out and you land back home because you're from L.A. And when you look at the players that he played with, everybody he's played with, it ain't like they were worse with him now. They didn't look worse with him. So I got to be respectful and be honest about Russell Westbrook and give him a lot more love than criticism. And I'm doing that right now. That's a big-time move. He's going to get Carmelo open shots. He's going to get LeBron open shots. He's going to get Anthony Davis open shots. More importantly, the Lakers playing at a slower pace. He's going to dictate a better pace, a faster pace, especially whenever LeBron or AD is out of the game. One of them, if not both of them. This is a big-time pickup for the Los Angeles Lakers. They're in title contention because of this now. I don't know why we got this video of him with the Wizards uniform on. I guess that's because the last time we seen him in the uniform. But he'll be wearing Lakers this year, and I'm looking forward to it. It ain't the #1 move this offseason now. Here is where that move is. Give it to me right here. Steph Curry with his extension.
Russ, why is it that if anything, you sometimes do too much, right? Because if your teammates can't do it, you just got to take it upon yourself because that's how competitive you are. You want to win. You need to win. Now, it's one thing if you were on a team where we look at the roster and go, all right, come on. And then it's an imperfect roster. No roster's perfect. But you have, I really believe, maybe for the second time in Russell Westbrook's career, he has a legitimate championship squad around him. 2016, I thought that was a championship caliber roster. They didn't get it done. The Cavs did. The Warriors didn't. Neither did the Thunder. Okay. Now, for the second time in your career, Russ, you got a legit championship caliber squad around you. And so we want to know, how great are you? Can you be one of the central pieces that is so good that you guys win a championship. We're looking at you, not as a role player or whatever, but as a central figure in the nucleus of a potential championship team. Of course there's something to prove, because you don't have a championship yet.
Here's the deal. I don't disagree with you, Max. I just want to go a little bit deeper in all seriousness, because obviously Russell Westbrook and I have had some differences, and, I've addressed that. He's addressed it as well, and everything's cool. Here's the deal. He does have something to prove, first of all, that he can win a championship. Period. There's nothing else left to prove, just to win a championship. And I don't think he meant what he said when he said in the nation's capital a few months ago that championships don't mean nothing to him. He sees plenty of champions who are less happier than himself. I think what we have seen from Russell Westbrook is a guy whose level of sensitivity has been heightened in terms of people creating narratives about him and him sitting back and him no longer sitting back and just taking it. He's going to defend himself, and he's going to fend off those naysayers and some of the things that they may say, myself included, because he believes that anything that comes close to addressing or attacking his character is something that he needs to debunk. I respect that. So I want to sit up there and say on national television, there's no reason nor is there any excuse for us to question the character of Russell Westbrook. The brother gives us 100% every night. He goes out and goes all out every night, plays at 100 miles an hour. He never cheats the game in that regard at all, okay? And off the court, never gets in any kind of trouble whatsoever. He's a high character guy. All right. So I want to make sure that I'm clear with all of those things that I just said, because it's incredibly important that people understand. My point is,
do we need a lower third for this, or is it too serious?
Say what?
Do we need the lower third about Russell Westbrook for this,
Nope.
or is this too serious?
Nope, we don't need it. We don't need it. We don't need it at all. Not when it comes to him. Here's what I want him and all the people who love him and know him personally to understand. We are talking about the game of basketball, not his character, certainly not his character as a man, and the great things that he's accomplishing off the court. Max, I was driving down, I think it was somewhere in Burbank, whatever. I mean, Max, it was like a damn near a mile of stores, and all of them were dealerships in his name. The brother's doing big things. I mean, Russell Westbrook's doing big things, man. And there's a certain audience that he's trying to reach and uplift, and he's doing that too. And he does a lot of things in the community that people don't realize about, and he deserves credit for that. At the end of the day, we come back to basketball. And I'm going to stick to my point about this. When you are that great, as great as he is, I don't want to see you in Washington for a team that's squeezing into the playoffs, so that was 13 games under 500. Now, he can't help that. You want to get the hell out of Houston, you got to go where they sent you, and then ultimately you end up landing where you really, really wanted to land, which is back home here in L.A. wearing a Lakers uniform. Fair enough. But now that you're here, and you're an L.A. native, and you started at UCLA, you know what time it is. You know what Laker Nation expects. You know it's about the chip. And you got to go for it. You don't get it, you don't get it. But you really, really, really got to go for it. That chip has to be the priority, more so than anything else. And in the end, when you look at Russell Westbrook, this is what the bottom line is going to be. He's going to the Hall of Fame. We're going to celebrate him one day as one of the greatest players we've ever seen, when you look at what his resume entails. But Kevin Durant, Serge Ibaka, Reggie Jackson, James Harden, then Victor Oladipo, Paul George, then James Harden again, Bradley Beal, and now LeBron James and Anthony Davis were all teammates of yours at one point in time in your career. It's not a good thing if all of those teammates are people that you had and you don't have one single championship to show for it.
No.
Period. That has to be the priority. And again, like when he says he has nothing to prove, no, he doesn't. As an individual performer, no, he doesn't. As a Hall of Famer, Hall of Fame credentials, no, he doesn't with any of those things. It's just with one thing and one thing only. At some point in time, when you got those kind of teammates, you got to have at least one chip to show for it.
Let me just say, we're going to miss Russell Westbrook when he's gone.
Yes,
he's
we
one of
will.
those guys we're going to, and for all the haters, you're only hurting yourself because you're missing the ride.
Exactly.
We're going to tell our grandkids that we saw Russell Westbrook. He's that kind of player.
Mm-hmm.
We want him to win a championship because, almost out of gratitude, most Westbrook fans, because I think fans want it for him more than anyone else. So that on top of all that other stuff, we'll tell our grandkids about him, we can say he was a champion, an NBA champion.
Max, when you say, last point, when you say we're going to miss him when he's gone, you're absolutely right. We're going to miss him when he's gone. But we're also missing him when he's going home in the first round because we see inferior players that are playing deeper into their seasons. Now, obviously, it might not be because of them. It might be because of the teammates they have. But I'm saying nobody expected much from you last year because you was in D.C., and we know they didn't have that confidence.
Not too far from here, being able to watch the parades, try to go to a missed school to try to go to them, being a Laker fan and being from LA, but now everything coming full circle for me is it's a blessing. You know, it's a lot of things I can't put into actual words just because, you know, some of these dreams don't come true for people like myself. And I'm truly blessed and thankful for this opportunity, and you know, I can't wait to get started. And then secondly, and I've been blessed to be able to go into my 14th season. And each year I try to find ways, like Rob mentioned, to be able to uplift and make my teammates better around me. And AD and Brian are friends of mine first. And me being their teammate, my job is to come in and uplift them, and they'll do the same with me, vice versa. And as the season prolongs, we will figure it out. There will be ups, there will be downs, and that's normal. That's okay. But we will figure out how to play the best way that we want to play to be able to win a championship.
Kyle Goon, Orange County Register. Russ, I was just wondering what it was like kind of talking to LeBron and AD, sort of getting a comfort level that you guys could kind of work a chemistry and a fit on and off the court. What were those conversations like, and how did you get comfortable with the idea that you guys could all play together?
I mean, honestly, you know, this stuff happened so quickly. This happened so fast, you know, last week or 2 weeks or so. But we've had brief conversations and talked about, obviously, what we need to do and how we need to do that. And we'll address that as training camp and as the season comes along, and we'll figure it out.
Russ, when you went through this process, how draining was it? How tiring was it? And how happy was your family that you got back home to L.A.?
I mean, it was, you know, anytime a situation like this comes about or an opportunity presents itself, it can be stressful, it can be a lot of emotions, but ultimately, the biggest thing for me is being in this league when you know teams that actually want you and actually want you to be a place. To me, that means more than anything else. And at that point, it's my job to be able to make sure that I come and do what I'm supposed to do, and that's to come and compete and make sure that we have a chance to compete for a championship. And yes, my family was very, very happy.
Hey, Russ, welcome back to LA. When you look at the way the league is kind of shaping up right now, where do you see this team stacking up with some of these other contenders, and how meaningful is it for you to be back in a situation where you can say at the start of the year that the goal is to win a championship, and that's potentially attainable with this group? Yeah,
man, to be honest, my mindset is I never really worry about no other team. You know, to be honest, I only can control what's in our locker room and how we able to compete and go out, and I put our team up against anybody, and that's just kind of how my mindset is, and that's where I stand with that.
Yeah, Russell, do you feel like you have anything to prove?
No, I don't. I've been blessed and thankful to be able to be in this league so long, and lucky to be able to play and be healthy. When I got drafted in the NBA, that was me proving people wrong when I was able to go to college and get a degree. That was me proving people wrong. Not a degree, I wish I got a degree, but go to college, go to UCLA from the inner city, that was me proving people wrong. Just making it out the hood was proving people wrong. I don't need to do that anymore. I've been able to bless the people around me, my family, been able to impact people all across the world with this platform that's been given to me, and I'm continue to do that. And obviously we want to win a championship, but our ultimate goal is to make sure we use what we have to impact others around you.
Hi, Russell. Mark Medina here, USA Today. Congratulations. Good
Thank
to see
you.
you. How do you initially envision how you and LeBron will share ball handling and playmaking duties?
You know, as you know, Bron is one of the best players to play this game, and his ability to be able to kind of do everything on the floor allows me to be able to just figure it out. I'm coming to a championship caliber team, and my job is to make sure that I'm able to make his game easy for him, and I'll find ways to do that throughout the game. As it pertains to ball handling and all that, it really doesn't matter. There's many different ways you can impact the game without having the ball in your hands, and I've been able to do that for many years, and I will figure it out.
Hey, Russ, I know you grew up in LA watching the Lakers going to the parades and stuff. You also had a really close relation with Kobe Bryant. Did you have that in your head at all when this trade was coming together and in just these last couple of weeks since it's happened?
Yeah, I mean, it hasn't left my head. It's things that we've talked about, me and him, just the potential of me being able to be a Laker and understanding what that entails. It's just crazy to think about, and that will be with me every time I put that Laker jersey on. That's all I can say about that.
Okay, we're going to get a few questions on Zoom.
Okay, we're going to start off with Mike Trudeau.
Hey, Russ, welcome to Los Angeles. Just to follow up on Kobe, that there was that time during his last year, he came to Oklahoma City, and you and KD had some time with him in the locker room and kind of exchanged gifts. And just wondered, the whole mentality he used to talk about when he thought about you was something that Rob alluded to, that constant competitive fire. Was that the thing that he related to you most with, or did it just come from competition and all the time that you spent playing against him and so on and talking to him?
I think that was the initial thing that kind of brought us together, as being able to compete and not being able to take nights off. But we began to have a better relationship off the floor as brothers, and talking about other things outside of basketball, and things that we've been able to do with this game. And to me, that is the most important thing I'm able to cherish from Kobe, that I will continue to cherish and live on.
Just an anecdote to that. I remember, I still have his voice in my head, but the year that Russell broke the record that no one thought would ever be broken in terms of averaging a triple-double and putting himself in the category of players like the Big O. There were a small handful of players around the NBA that Kobe really felt like embodied that sort of Mamba mentality. And I remember throughout that year just his praise for Russell's approach, and him talking about that competitive edge that is rare in sports, across all sports, and that I could just hear him say he gets it, like he's got it.
Okay, our next question will be from Dave McMenamin, ESPN.
Hi, fellas. Coming to you from Vegas. Start with Russ, and I have a question for Rob as well. Russ, you've had so many moments in your career, whether it be that first round series against the Lakers, obviously the relationship with Kobe playing the Lakers in the bubble in the playoffs, that Nipsey Hussle tribute game. Melo spoke to us about how just the Lakers, even though we never played for them, always seemed to be on his radar to some extent. I wondered if you could speak to that. Did you share a type of sentiment like that where you felt like the Lakers were kind of circling in your career?
At some point, obviously, being from LA, you always wish that you can play for your home team and being able to do that. But that's definitely something that always kind of circled around in my mind, and maybe one day But I always will come back and be like, that probably won't happen. But, I just kind of wait to see if that ever happened. But now we're here, and I'm going to take full advantage of it.
And for Rob, last season, the team certainly was decimated by injuries, and that could have been the direction that you kind of came to a conclusion on, that, hey, if we had health, we can run it back. What motivated you to make such dramatic changes this offseason?
Opportunity. I mean, I think it was an opportunity to make an aggressive move that we felt like bettered our probability to bring the 18th title to the Los Angeles Lakers. And when an opportunity like that comes, you're thoughtful, you analyze it, you look at the pros and cons, and then you make a decision. That's what leaders are tasked to do, and we felt like this was an opportunity to maximize our ability to do what we're obsessed to do, and that's to bring an 18th title to this city.
Thanks, guys.
All right, thank you, Kate, please. Okay, we're gonna throw it back to you guys there.
Oh, do you want to go ahead? Okay, sorry, go ahead. Russell, you've always been so adamant about how Challengers and Boys and Girls Club developed who you were as a young man. Now you get to come home and be the role model for the young boys and girls who are where you once were. What does that mean to you?
That is kind of the most important thing about being back home, being able to inspire and impact people, especially our youth in our communities, and especially our underserved communities, especially in the city of LA, kind of where I grew up at. And my focus will be dialed into the community like it's always been, and I will continue to find ways to uplift our communities, as much as I can.
Hey, Russ. Haley Winslow, Fox 11. Welcome back.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
You have so many titles to be proud of. What do you think is the biggest thing you have to offer to the Lakers? And then just for fun, what are you most looking forward to off the court about being back home?
Offer to, one thing I always have done and always will do is stay true to myself. I think you can never waver, and I can never waver in this league. And without being in it for a long time, and I always want to stay true to who I am. But with that, making sure that I'm able to listen and be all ears, because I am coming to unbelievable organization, team, and players that I'm able to learn from. Each year I try to find things I can learn and to be able to help improve my game and be a better player. And I will do that, here as well. And being back home, just being able to be with my kids all the time, is being able to see my mom and dad and my wife all the time is, to me, the best thing you can ask for, kind of being back home and not having them to have to travel everywhere is a blessing for me.
Okay, we'll just do a few more. I'm going to go with Alan Sleva, please.
Hey, Russ, 710 ESPN. A lot of the new vets talked about how they're excited to play with you. Just want to get your thoughts on the roster, this kind of combination veterans, obviously LeBron, Anthony Davis. Your thoughts on the roster?
Yeah, man, it's amazing. The roster is great. A bunch of guys that I've already known previous, which is even better. And I'm more excited just to, like I said before, man, I'm always interested as I come into the season, I'm always looking at the roster and figuring out how I can make other guys better. And it's as simple as that. And I want to be able to leave an impact on people when they either play with me or come across me, and obviously in a positive way. And I'll find ways to do that with our roster. But I'm really looking forward to getting together with all the guys and figuring out.
Alrighty, Bill Orm, Athletic, please. Just one moment. The mic over to you.
Hey, question for Frank. Russ kind of shared a little bit of his vision of how this might work out over time, but I'm curious, what is your vision for how LeBron, AD, and Russell can all work together, and in what ways do you see each of them maybe needing to adapt their games for it all to maximize its fullest potential?
Yeah, well, I mean, I think anytime you have three great players like this, there is an element of sacrifice required, and we've all talked about that and are all in on that. But these three guys can do it all. And what I love about our group, Bron, AD, and Russ, is they're all make the right play players. You know what I mean? It's not just about scoring or being a one-dimensional player. They can all do it all. So I'm most excited about seeing what the three of them on the court at the same time looks like. I think we're going to be an extremely dynamic, fast-breaking team, and one that can play. They can play off of all three guys in many different ways. So, I think with the speed, athleticism of those guys, plus the guys the complementary parts we put together, the shooters and the defenders, I think we got a real chance this year to do something special, and it's on us now to put in the work. And if you get this type of talented guys to buy in and put in the work, hopefully we can achieve something special.
Question for Russell and Frank as well. Much has been made about the age of this roster. Could that actually be a weapon, something to serve to your advantage if we consider that age equals experience?
Age does equal experience. IQ intelligence helps you win. And in terms of motivation, the motivation for us is that trophy. Not what people are saying. This group is highly driven to get back on top, and I don't really think about anything about what anybody's saying about our age, but I do agree that the experience will be necessary and will help us win.
Yeah. Sorry, last question. No, go ahead.
Kyle Goon again. Russ, I was just wondering, you had so much stability in Oklahoma City for such a long time, and then you've played for a couple teams in the last couple of years.
Yeah.
Does that change your concept of what you want out of a franchise, and is your vision, and obviously, there's factors beyond any one person's control, but is your vision to be with the Lakers for a long time?
My vision, in this league, you understand this is a business, and through that, you just do your job, and that's what I'll continue to do. As far as the business side of basketball and figuring out where I would be, and I wouldn't imagine that I'll be here 3 or 4 years ago. It's just something that I can't fathom. But while I'm here, I will compete the best way I know how, give everything that I have, and I'll let the business side of basketball take care of that.
Well, Allison's coming up too. I want to thank Russell's family and support team that's here today too. And when I was an agent for James Harden, I went to a lot of Thunder games early in his career, and Russell's dad is going to be a perfect part of Lakers Nation with the energy he brings.
We're going to do some photos.
Perfect.
Rob's going to officially introduce Russell to the Lakers.